President Biden is pushing the House to pass a foreign aid package approved by the Senate earlier today. Senators on both sides of the aisle voted for the $95 billion bill, 70 to 29. But the package, which includes funding for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, faces opposition from multiple House Republicans. In a speech today, President Biden urged Speaker Mike Johnson to bring it to the House floor immediately.
I say to the House members, House Republicans, you got to decide. Are you going to stand up for freedom? Or are you going to side with terror and tyranny? You're going to stand with Ukraine? You're going to stand with Putin? Will we stand with America or with Trump?
CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now. Nikole, it's great to see you. It seemed like there was going to be a small group of Republican defectors to try to hold this up. Tell us how this got over the finish line in the Senate.
Well, it got done by working on Super Bowl Sunday, among other things, Jen, really working continuously throughout the weekend. You know, ultimately, Leader Schumer kind of called Senate Republicans bluff in terms of, trying to move forward with this package. That is why you saw it voted on in the wee hours of this morning after those Senate Republicans who did oppose it kind of had their chance to get their say-so in on the floor. And many of them wanted to hold up this package and oppose this package because they felt that there should be still some type of border component added to address the crisis at the border. But as you know, that was the part of a package last week that got torpedoed by Senate Republicans, and that's why the Senate moved forward without that border component and strictly focused on the national security measures in terms of, as you pointed out, funding for Israel, Ukraine, the Indo-Pacific, humanitarian assistance. And so now that it has cleared, of course, the question is whether the House will now bring this to the floor, which is a big if. And part of the reason President Biden made that appeal at the White House earlier today to try to prod lawmakers to act.
Yeah, the president's words weren't really new. That message was exactly what he was saying to try to get that other supplemental bill you were talking about over the line. That didn't work. Republicans now, it doesn't seem very likely that they're going to support this, Nikole, since, as you mentioned, it does not include border security, which is what House Speaker Johnson fought for in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And that is something that he continued to reiterate to reporters today, that, national security, before you take national security up, you've got to take up border security, that national security is border security, was the argument that the speaker made to reporters this afternoon. And again, it remains a big open question if he's even going to move forward with this package. He did issue a preemptive statement ahead of that Senate vote saying that this bill really fails to meet the moment. But the speaker has been very critical of both Senate packages. The reason he said the initial supplemental package that included the border provisions was dead on arrival was because it didn't go far enough. He stands by wanting the Senate to consider House Republicans' bill, which is H.R. 2, which is more stringent than that border compromise that was killed last week. At the same time, of course, now you have this stripped down package, and he's saying that, well, we still have to have some component of border in it. So, his hope was maybe the Senate would have amended the bill, which some Republicans tried to do. But again, whether or not this bill is now dead on arrival remains to be seen.
Nikole, Johnson from the very beginning has stressed that H.R. 2 is his goalpost and that he wasn't really going to change that. So short of that, is there any way that Congress can pass any foreign aid?
Well, there are some conversations happening about whether to move forward with some type of discharge petition. That would kind of be on House Democrats to do that and to try to pass it or bring it up through the minority. They would need some Republican support to do that, but it would have to be minimal. And, Leader Jeffries isn't completely ruling that out. He noted in a Dear Colleague letter today that House Democrats stand poised to use any potential legislative tools to try to move this this package forward. And he argues that, this funding for Israel is critical. The funding for Ukraine is critical. Having that humanitarian assistance in there for Gaza and other conflict zones is critical, and being able to package all of that together. So the timetable on that remains unclear, but even, he would need all Democrats to support moving some type of discharge petition. And obviously, as you know, Weija, there has been some concern, particularly among more progressive Democrats, about Israeli funding, primarily because of the situation between Israel and Hamas. Some progressive Democrats feel that there should be a ceasefire, that Israel has gone too far in how it's handled the situation in Gaza, and some of them do want some conditions attached. So that certainly was an attempt on the part of some Senate Democrats, but again, unclear if progressives will make that an issue in the House in terms of moving forward with some alternate means to try to get this bill going.
Well, Nikole, it certainly looks like it's going to be a tough road ahead, but I know you'll be covering it for us, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.